Hello everyone. First of all, I would like to express my gratefulness and thanks for the organizers of this conference for inviting me. I'm really honored to be here in this beautiful building overlooking this beautiful city. And I will hopefully indeed bring you a case study of a creative space called Kitchen Budapest, which is an innovation lab or a new media lab. Hopefully in a few minutes that will be totally clear to you what it means. So this is an entity that exists in Budapest. Some quick facts about it before I talk about the substance. It doesn't look back to a very long and seasoned history. It's only 3 years old, and it's funded by a telecommunications company, Hungarian Telecom, which is an affiliate of Deutsche Telekom. I think it might be interesting in the framework of this conference, maybe at a later point, to talk about this as well, what exactly it means that it's a creative space, a creative entity that is founded by a corporation. We are about 20 researchers at the time, all researchers from different backgrounds. There are artists, fine artists, designers, but there are also social scientists and computer scientists, engineers. And our hope is, and I think we have partly demonstrated this, that actually it's the collaboration of these different people that can create something new and something innovative and something creative. Also, I would stop for 1 second. If I'm speaking too fast in English, please signal it somehow. I can slow down and try to explain things again. I unfortunately don't speak any Polish. But I can try in English again, and maybe help with a little German. Well, in any case, so our mission is to take technologies and reinterpret them or give them a new meaning in terms of something either artistic or social or both or cultural. But we don't really come up with new technologies at Kitchen Budapest. We just reinterpret them or reassemble them in novel ways. And we have a single 300 square meter space downtown Budapest. Urban space is extremely important for us. In our mission statement, we define that we do projects in anything related to the internet, mobile communication, and the urban space. And preferably, we try to combine these areas. This is really downtown Budapest, and it doesn't have any walls. And you can see a picture there. It's never like this. It's only the first moment of its existence. Since then, it's extremely messy all the time. Mess is very good for creativity. And we don't have walls within it. Everything happens collectively, and we share our projects. Every meeting is open. I think I will come back to this theme of openness that Alec introduced. It's one of the main cornerstones of our existence and working methods. Let me speak maybe just a few minutes about our working method, how exactly we do our work, and then the rest of the half hour, Alec asked me to speak about half an hour, and I will try to stick to that. So I will speak a few minutes about the working method, and then I will introduce actual projects, concrete projects we've been working on. I think that will be the most helpful for you, especially that it's about case studies, and I'm trying to make this talk into a case study as much as possible. So, as I mentioned before, we have researchers with very diverse backgrounds. Very often it's the case that it makes perfect sense to work along disciplinary boundaries. The main advantage of that is that within each discipline, it's very clear what the standards are. It's very clear who is good, who is bad. But sometimes these disciplines are festering. They can actually inhibit the creative energies to come out. So an institution like Kitchen Budapest is trying to drive a wedge between different disciplines and be as interdisciplinary as is possible. Try to find some in-between space between established forms. And that's why it's very important for us to have people of different backgrounds, because they represent the expertise and the disciplinary standards of these different disciplines, but when they work together, they are working on pulling down these boundaries between the disciplines. We have researchers who are mainly university students or freshly graduated people, full of dynamism and full of good ideas, and we ask them that they should have a positive attitude. We have regular sessions when we come up with new projects, and it happens the following way. We sit around the circle and everyone draws or writes a couple of words about the new project idea he or she has and throws it in the middle, literally throws it in the middle. And then we go around the circle and everyone picks one sheet of paper and we start to talk about it. But we ask everyone, if you have criticism, that's great, but try to formulate it in a constructive way. So say, I really like your idea, but there's something that I would do differently, and I will tell you now how it should be different. It's not enough to say that your idea sucks, I don't want to talk about it. And we make 2-3 rounds when people first talk about their own ideas and then other people defend your idea, for instance. So in the first round I talk about my idea, second round someone else talks about my idea in a positive way, trying to defend it. And then at the end, each project has a sheet where people can put down their names. If there are at least 2 or 3 other researchers who like your project and they were convinced, then the project can go on. So this way it's a very bottom-up process. It's not that the leadership of Kitchen Budapest says, or Magyar Telekom, Hungarian Telecom says, that you guys have to work on this in the next 3 months, but it's actually the researchers of the Kitchen Budapest who come up with the project ideas and then they roll them on. There are some exceptions. We do take commissions from Magyar Telekom too, but that's only one activity and not the main activity of Kitchen Budapest. We also refresh the team regularly. We have contracts of 3 or 6 months with researchers, but very often we renew them. If we like the researchers and the researchers like Kitchen Budapest, then it's very easy to continue work for Kitchen. And most of the researchers have been there for a year or 2 years or 3 years. Many researchers use Kitchen Budapest as a springboard towards something else, and we're totally fine with that. We are very proud of our alumni. There are many people who are, there's just one guy who was admitted to MIT labs. There's another one who went to the Royal Academy of, Royal College of Art, sorry. And actually we have, I could list you like 15 alumni who have moved on to very illustrious places. Here you can see a little map, hardly legible, I suppose. At the bottom, on the left side are all the people at Kitchen Budapest at a certain time, and on the right side there are all the projects. And you can see all these zigzags because no one works on a single project, but everyone works on multiple projects, and not the same people work on the same project, but there are always some crosses when. So it's not that there are subgroups in Kitchen who always work together, but it's always a mixed picture. People move around. And also we're very proud that Kitchen is a social space. You can see a couple of pictures from here. There are a lot of social activities. We really share our concerns with each other, not just work-related concerns, but others. And since most people are young, I know I'm not, but most people are much younger than I am, it works really well that there are no working hours. People sometimes work on projects till midnight or even during the whole night, then they don't come to work the next day. There are no working hours at Kitchen Budapest. The only important thing is that when there is a meeting for a project that you are involved in, then you are supposed to be there. Okay, I could talk a lot more about this, but I really don't want to go over 30 minutes, so I move on. These are our main fields of activities. As I mentioned before, we do various things. One is the main area is that we actually produce new media art, or what is called art and technology. And the target of these projects is actually to go to international art fairs or exhibitions. And we have been doing, I think, pretty well. We have been pretty lucky to have some of our projects exhibited in the Kinetic Art Fair in London, or Pixelate in Helsinki, or 100% Design in Tokyo, and so on. This is one of the most focal areas of Kitchen's activity, Kitchen Budapest's activity. But also we do services, mainly for our parent company, Magyar Telekom, but also for external companies. We do a lot of software development, especially mobile applications for iPhone, Android, there's a little team within Magyar Telekom who is specialized on that. We also do research for companies or for universities with non-conventional methods. So companies like Magyar Telekom can easily buy market research from specialized companies, but we do ethnographic, for instance, video ethnographic research that you cannot really buy on the market because no one does that. But for some purposes, and I'm happy to discuss later on for what purposes, it is actually superior, I would argue, to the conventional quantitative methods. It's a good complement at least. And then we have a lot of education activities. We organize workshops constantly, both for internal education, for the education of Kitchen Budapest's people, and externally for companies or also for universities. We have 3 courses at least, one together with the Technological University of Budapest and another one with one of the art universities. Let me move on to the project, and maybe discussing the project I will bring in some other theoretical lines of argument. Here are just some categories thrown on the screen that are extremely important for Kibu. I mentioned some of them. DIY, which is do-it-yourself, is a core principle for Kibu. Kibu is short for Kitchen Budapest. Which means that we want to do everything ourselves that we possibly can. We don't go to manufacturers and don't ask them to produce or realize our ideas, but we try to do them, make them in-house on the premises. And we also try to empower people to do the same, so that our users can use some of our products or services very, very easily, and I will show you a couple of examples in a minute, by which you can encourage them to take over the spirit of do-it-yourself, to teach them that they are actually able to do much more with technology than they would think. Another thing we do frequently is hacking, not in the software sense necessarily, but what is called everyday hacking, that we take any sort of technology and don't accept the prescribed use or purpose of the technology, but we take it apart and reassemble it in a way that teaches you something about the technology or something about the world that you haven't known. Okay. On the website, our website, you can see a lot of projects. I don't have time now to go through these or even say anything about this. Okay, one of the areas where we do projects is mobile expressions. Most of them are mobile applications for different phones, usually smartphones, but here's one that I'll show you briefly. It's called AnyMobile. It's animation software that's frame-based, and now it's not a big deal anymore because of the iPhone App Store, but when we did this 2 years ago, it was a bigger deal, and even now, since we optimized it for instance, Nokia 95, it can give you a tool that if you have an iPhone, you have, but if you don't have an iPhone, you don't, and it works extremely easy. Anyone and anyone's grandmother can very easily use this. You have a frame on the phone where if you have a camera in it, you take a picture, and when you take the next picture, you're ready to take the next picture, you will see the previous photograph vaguely projected on the screen. So it's very easy to adjust the screen, to synchronize the screen with the previous shot. So it works, I'm sure all of you remember from preschool that you draw little pictures on the corner of your book, and you just change it a little bit, and then you roll it through, and it becomes animated. And I remember in my case what a revelation it was. You can do this with any sort of phone. Well, in this case, we optimize it for Symbians, for Nokia phones. But people get a kick out of it, and it's very, very easy to use. So it's one of these DIY and empowerment tools that we came up with. Okay, another one. So this was 2 years ago that we had the AnyMobile. In the meantime, the world has developed a little bit. So now we're more concentrated on Android and iPhone applications. And one of the newest ones is a language learning tool that has I think, a very interesting design. There's a potato head and a little rabbit, and they're playing against each other a word game. It's only developed now for English and Hungarian, but we want to develop it for all the major languages and in between the major languages, not just in between the languages and Hungarian. So there's an English word safety given there, and there are 4 potential Hungarian equivalents. And two people play with two iPhones, and one of them is the rabbit, the other one is the potato head, and whichever gets it faster can hit the other guy on the head. And you can build up a vocabulary or word list on your iPhone, and you can, when you have like a minute or less than a minute on a tram or the bus, you can play this quickly with someone near you or someone really far away from you. And you can play around with what sort of vocabulary put in it, how you can make it into a real-time game versus a non-real-time game. But we're hoping to sell these through the iPhone App Store. So these were just two examples for the mobile expressions area where we do some project. Another area is the network of things, or the Internet of Things. The network of things is maybe a little, it's a larger category than the Internet of Things. I probably shouldn't talk about the theory too much, but maybe show you some of the things that we've done. One was what we call MI lamp, or artificial intelligence lamp. MI is the Hungarian short for artificial intelligence. We find it really interesting to invest objects around us with a sort of intelligence that makes them almost anthropomorphic. In this case, we put little engines on normal table lamps, and with their help we could animate the lamps in a way that they react to their environment, so they can actually bow their head and greet someone who enters into the room. We have some further development of this project. There's another one which we call POP, or Power of Play, where these lamps actually play soccer, football with each other. They can keep the ball in motion. And there's a third one where two lamps represent the two legs of a baby, and we put it on a swing, and there's a laptop on top of the swing with a baby head on it who cries, and then the two legs kind of imitate the movement of the baby's leg. That one, everyone asked me never to show because it's a little grotesque, so it's not here, but I actually personally like the project. Another one, a typical Internet of Things application. So the Internet of Things, just in one sentence, means that when traditionally we think about the Internet, we think about something that we can reach through a computer. We sit down, the computer is not in the kitchen, not in the bathroom, but it's somewhere on the desk. We sit down and we access the Internet. But actually there are more and more things around us which also get access to the Internet and tie us to the Internet. It can be a Nike Plus shoe, or it can be any sort of space, or your shirts or clothes. That's a very fairly new movement that's right now being exploited by a lot of commercial companies. They beat sensors to your clothes, and they can do a lot of fancy stuff with it. Okay, what we realized that Kitchen Budapest is a collective space, and there's something called the tragedy of the commons, that if there's something that's collectively owned, sometimes no one takes good care of them, and that's exactly what happened to our plants. They all perished. Not every commons. I have to add right away. But sometimes. So our plants started to perish because no one waters them. And then someone said at Kitchen Budapest, of course they are dying because they cannot speak. They cannot say that, oh, I'm thirsty, or I have this problem, that problem. And then another guy said, well, that's easy to remedy. We can make our plants talk. And that's how this Talking Flower project started. They actually made it possible with the help of a little microcontroller called Arduino for the plants to signal if they are thirsty or if they need more light. Here's a little video of it. Or if they have any sort of problem. So actually it works, of course, with a certain range of parameters. If the plant is outside of it, then it will send a tweet or an SMS, text, or anything of that sort. So with the help of these little inbuilt sensors. So most of the time, as I mentioned before, we work for art exhibitions or art fairs, but some of the projects we want to make into products or services. And this is one of them. We would like to make this into an actual product that we would sell on the market, because it might be helpful for various purposes, and we have sometimes brainstorming sessions when we come up with ideas how to further develop projects. And one would be that for elderly people, another focus of Kitchen Budapest activity actually, it might be very helpful if they could communicate through these talking plants with the rest of the family. So if they live alone and they are supposed to water the plant every day, if it doesn't happen a day, then the grandson or granddaughter will know that something might be wrong and will call the grandmother. That's one of the ways that we develop this further. This Arbor Light is it's a clearly art project. There is no product side of it in the commercial sense. What it does basically is that it has a video input of some sort. It can be a real-time webcam input or a non-real-time video input, and it blunts it down. It makes it more stupid into a 7x9 pixel display. And this way you communicate only the impressions or the sensations of the video itself. So your friend goes to Hawaii for a vacation and sends back the video in real time, and it's in your living room. It's not very intrusive in your life, and you can see sort of the play of the lights with the help of this Arbor Light. So it's something that we imagine being in your living room and giving you an impression of what's going on with the people you love or hate. Here's another really successful project of ours. Successful in the sense that it had a lot of media coverage in Hungary and outside of Hungary too, but it's not successful in the sense that we can't make it work again. That happens very often with people actually, that people are very motivated in new ideas, but they're not very motivated in running the track all the way, so we sometimes abandon these ideas. We still have this lawnmower in the back of Kibu, but it doesn't work anymore. What it does is that it's a do-it-yourself and a hacking project. We took hand mixers, 14 of them, and with the help of a computer put on top of the lawnmower, we can cut different shapes or text onto the lawn. So the hand mixers have little blades in them, and the computer switches them on and off, and you can program it in a way that a pre-programmed text or picture can be cut into your lawn. And we could actually produce the word Kitchen Budapest, and then it broke. But we can probably rebuild it anytime. Here's how it works if the video starts. So it's something that anyone could do. If you have a laptop and if you have hand mixers, you could actually do this. It's a typical hacking project because we're using the hand mixers for something that's not their original purpose. Okay, let me move on. There are maybe 3 or 4 more, I think, and then I will be done. This is one of our newer projects. It's called Beat Your Mouth Movement, or BIM. And here the idea is that people are spending more and more time sitting in front of their computers. And that means they're moving the mouse a lot, just like I'm doing it now. And the idea here is that you put a step counter on your body that counts how much you move around, and you have to cover a longer distance with your body than you cover it with your mouse. And you would think that's easy, but in most cases it's actually not that easy, because most people who don't move around, they actually move their mouse much more than their body. It's a very simple interface. We're developing it into something more, but it's a comparison that you can make on a daily basis or on a monthly basis. And it's very important that you shouldn't trick the step counter in any way. So if that's why we don't use like GPS and other coordinates, because you can just get in a car and cover a lot of miles. This bean is also a great favorite of ours. What it does, it's a very silly and very primitive little maybe gadget, but maybe I shouldn't even call it a gadget. It has a photo sensor in it and a little LED light and one button, and it knows the Morse codes. So you can code in something like a poem, and there's a special web page which you can maybe see more or less, which helps you encode poems or decode poems or any other text into these little beans. So you don't actually have to know the Morse codes to be able to use it. The idea is that for like Valentine's Day, you don't need to send those ugly plush animals to your loved one, but you can send a poem through a little bean, and then that person can take the bean and decode the poem and be very happy about it. But also you can put your business card into this and be very creative when you meet someone a business meeting, you give a poem bean and that person can go home and decipher who actually were. This is another thing we would like to make into a program. And as the big brother or sister of the poem bean is NIMO, which is a night lamp. It has a motion detector and a light detector in it. So it works only at night, because if there's light, like normal light like that's here, then it will not switch on. And it will switch on only when you move past it. You can charge it with the help of a USB cord, and it will run for about 10 days or so. So you charge it and then you can just throw it around in your apartment. And it's as you can see, it's a design object. It's more beautiful, we would like to think, than some of the alternatives that you can buy and are wired actually. You can buy some of them in the stores. So if you have enough of them and you throw them around in the apartment, when you go out in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, you don't need to switch on the light, which is very disturbing. It's very ugly, but these beautiful faint lights will follow you through to the kitchen. Okay, and I think it's probably maybe 4 or 5 more things. We have a lot of projects on data visualization. One is that we call data physics. It's a fish tank that kind of measures or illustrates the movements of your friends between their online and offline presence. So if you sign up, for instance, through Gtalk or Skype for this data phys for your friend, for instance, then you can see when your friend goes online, you can see a real bubble in the fish tank going up from the bottom to the top, and then it turns into a projected bubble that writes out the name of your friend, and then turns into just a little bubble that moves around, projected on above the fish tank. And when the person goes offline, then the bubble disappears. So it's a visualization of what it means to go from offline to online and vice versa. And also you can see what your friends are doing. This is also an art project in the sense that we imagine it being in someone's living room, and it's a much nicer display than anything you can put on the screen where you want to know who is offline and who is online. This went to the Kinetic Art Fair in London a few months ago. Another one, a fairly new project, is a subjective map. The objectivity or subjectivity of maps is an extremely interesting idea or debate. I don't know why this is not moving, it should be animated. Maybe it's a little sluggish. But what we did is that a city, this is the city of Budapest, but you could do it for Warsaw or any other city. It means something objectively to everyone, but it also means something subjectively to you, depending on which part of the city you actually inhabit and live. So the idea here is that you can put various points in your city that will be magnified, and it will overshadow the other points that are not interesting for you. It very slowly moves. Maybe you can follow it. So if, for instance, you live in like the eastern part and the northern part of the city, then that part will be much bigger and much more protruding than the rest of the city. And you can actually have a signature, sort of a visual signature of what the city means to you, put it on your blog or put it on your Facebook profile, and it will probably, as every picture, it will tell more about you than 15 sentences. Okay, now it started at last. It's pulsating, but it can also be stopped at any point. That's most meaningful to you. And we actually optimized this for the iPad, the newest gadget of Apple, and it looks very beautiful there. Okay. We also have some environmental projects. One of them is in collaboration with Mira Calvillo from the Prado Media Lab, which is about visualizing air pollution. So every color on the map above, in the top side of the picture, is a different pollutant or different component, like carbon monoxide or sulfur dioxide or pollen or whatever. And you can superimpose these grids onto the map of the city, and you can see where it's more polluted, where it's less polluted. Our idea is that we should crowdsource this information. Budapest has only 12 measuring stations of these pollutants, but hopefully we can make little sensors cheaply enough so that people will buy these sensors, will put them in their pocket, or actually they will be part of your smartphones, and then they will broadcast real-time information about the pollution of their city. And then you can actually go with a stroller with your baby, you can decide whether you want to go right or left because it's more polluted on the right rather than the left. And there are two little pieces of hardware with it. One we call the lollipop on the left, and the other we call the jellyfish. They also are just to help visualize pollution in the city. And this way they will also help raise consciousness about the issue of environmentalism and pollution. Okay. Dynamic interfaces, I promise this is the last area. There are just a couple of things. One is Animator, which is another animation software. It's not frame-based, but picture-based. It's an open source software with which you can actually take any picture and animate it really easily. It's a very user-friendly software, and it has been used by different theaters in Hungary, and right now there's a theater in Japan called 5-5. We had a couple of researchers who went to Tokyo last week, and they are working with the 5-5 theater to use this animation software. A good thing about it is that you can, with gesture recognition, you can actually move these little animated pictures with your own body. And it's extremely easy to use. It's open source. There's a whole community, especially in Scandinavia, who religiously use the software, and they give feedback and they help each other and help us. It's a very interesting development. Here's how it works. You can see the way it works is that you put little triangles, and through the triangles, skeletons on any picture. And with the help of moving these skeletons, the image behind the skeletons moves as well. And there's a special, that's not perfectly intuitive how it works, but it works perfectly fine, and you can find the link on our website on kitchenbudapest.hu. You can download it and play with it right away. We also have performances with the help of our programmers. There's one programming language called Fluxus, which is very, very conducive to live programming performances, because what you program is shown right away on the same screen on Fluxus. So what you can see, what you can usually not see, that when you manipulate a programming language, then it will have a result on the screen, but the two together you can never see. So it comes to very interesting results when people are exposed to how programming actually happens. That you change that one letter or that one line, and then the cube becomes a sphere or a torus or whatever. We make these no copy-paste performances where there are 4 people programming real time, and there's one person programming the sound. So it's almost like a, what is it called, when 4 2 violin players and the cello. A quartet, thanks. A string quartet, yeah, exactly. So it's like a digital string quartet that plays together and shows the codes that produce the results in the meantime. Augmented reality is another area which is been pretty hot in the past 4 or 5 years, but commercially it just starts to kick off now. We have a very simple project that we call BAR, and AR is of course for augmented reality in it. These AR-coded little tags show different instruments, and you put them, you stick them to the bottom of your glass, and as you raise your glass or your bottle, you show the tags towards your webcam. The webcam can be anywhere in the bar, and then it will start into a jamming session. It comes with music, and it comes with this vision or picture that you can see. And that's honestly the very last one. It's a Dandelion. It comes from LAN cable, local area network cables, and Dandelion, which is the English word for the flower that if you blow, then all the little parts fly away. If you blow this digital flower, then there will be a sound effect and also a light effect through these LED cables, LED lights that kind of waves through the flower. It's also a recycling idea to recycle these LAN cables, which fewer and fewer people use because we have wireless connections, so we don't need the LANs. Let's not throw them away, but make them into little dandelions or flowers. That was all. I think I might have gone a little longer, sorry about that. If you have any questions, I'm really happy to take them, or else if I took too long, I can wait till the very end.
I think we have time. I actually would like to ask one question. Can you say more about two things maybe? One, what's for you a measure of success? That it's nice, or that it's useful, or that you sell it? And the other, can you say more about the relation with your founder? What makes them happy?
Okay, thanks. These are actually related questions. The first question is, well, I will have a cheap way out, because I have to say that actually all of them, depending on which project you talk about. So there's, most of the people at Kibu are artists in some sense. So their purpose and their target is to get to these international art fairs and exhibitions with their projects. And it's very important because it gives visibility to Kitchen Budapest. It gives sort of communicative advantages, brings communicative advantages. But some other people, especially the people who are software developers and mobile application developers, for them it's monetary success. So they actually take commissions, or if they come up with their ideas like Bubble that I showed you, this language learning tool, they actually want to sell it and make money out of it. And finally, there's the third factor is our founder, Magyar Telekom, so that's where I tie into the second question. And for them, each of these activities are important. We had to make a lot of convincing so that they notice that they are all important, because they, of course, don't see why going to an art exhibit would be interesting from a corporate point of view. But it actually works like this, and they are starting to accept it. Magyar Telekom is a huge corporation that has a past in the socialist times, so everyone looks at it like a big dinosaur that employs 3 times as many people as it should, and so on. So among young people, it doesn't have a very good reputation. It cannot even reach those young people. So our argument is that with the help of Kitchen Budapest, they can get access to segments of population, or in their terminology, segments of markets, which they wouldn't otherwise get. And also we have a sort of a general communication benefits, that if we go around, go to London, go to Tokyo, go to Helsinki, go to Warsaw, and mention to everyone that it's actually Kitchen Budapest is powered by Magyar Telekom. It's thanks to Magyar Telekom that this can happen. And at the same time, which I also have to mention, you would see probably from what I said before, that we have a huge amount of autonomy. We can actually work on our own project that makes absolutely no sense from Magyar Telekom's perspective, from the telecommunications company's perspective. So this will kind of bring a hot rain of good communication that falls on the head of Magyar Telekom as well. So there's this communication benefit, and also we are working on projects that might be interesting for Magyar Telekom. The problem is that most of the projects I showed you, this Poem or Nino, that we think are products, they are not just almost there where they could be appreciated by Magyar Telekom, but they are like orders of magnitude away. So the maximum that we can hope is that, okay, they will get like 5,000 euros income in a year from them, or something like that. Magyar Telekom starts to think about business in orders of magnitude higher. So there's no coming point. But we can come up with projects, products and services that will change the customer experience for Magyar Telekom. There was something I didn't talk about. There's a little flash drive, I can go in here to show, that we developed. It's an earring actually, that uses the Hungarian folk motifs. In the Hungarian folk motifs, it's usually painted on an egg and given at Easter to people, give it to each other. Maybe it exists elsewhere as well. So this is something that Magyar Telekom can give as a little present to its clients or something like this. It's not going to rock the boat for Magyar Telekom. It's not going to be that one big idea that will bring in a lot of income. But if we have enough of these, it will give an extra edge over other services or competitors. And also we participate in Magyar Telekom's project development processes. They have an innovation and corporate development directorate within Hungarian Telekom, and we go there sometimes to brainstorm, to have their processes and so on. So these are the main things, I think, and I think I answered both of the questions in one.
Czy mają Państwo jakieś pytania? Zaznaczam, że dyskusję będziemy później, jeśli chcą coś Państwo bezpośrednio spytać po polsku lub po angielsku, to mamy czas na kilka pytań.
Can I just add one more thing while you guys are thinking, is that the presentation software I am using is called cz.2. It's also been developed in Kitchen Budapest, and that's actually one of the few things, I should say the only thing, that almost reached the threshold for being interesting to Magyar Telekom, but Magyar Telekom didn't take it. Magyar Telekom has a right, so we have to offer everything to Magyar Telekom first, and they can take it if they want to, or they can say that okay, you can go elsewhere with it. So this was the closest to that. They actually offered some investment funds for it, but the investment funds were just not enough. So the two guys, and unfortunately they were two of the most talented guys at Kibu, they went to American venture capitalists, and now they are working with a Finnish company and an American company, and they're making this into a very profitable enterprise, this presentation software, cz.2. One of them is Adam Fischer, who, if you know anyone from Kitchen Budapest, it probably is this guy. He's a very famous new media artist, and he was like an engine behind Kitchen Budapest from the inceptions, from the start. So it's a success story in the sense that they could come up with a product that was kind of collectively generated and developed in Kibu, and then they moved on, but now it's a spin-off company. It's not with Magyar Telekom and not with Kitchen Budapest anymore. So our hope can be that we come up with another project like this, another product, and it will make either another spin-off company or Magyar Telekom will embrace it.